Okay, folks, happy Wednesday. And we're going to continue our 2-pounder build here. Actually, I need to do something before I do my 2-pounder build. And that's, we need to go ahead and put the nameplate on this, this digger. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. We're going to switch the blades here. I don't want to dull the blade. Cutting into wood with an X-Acto blade is not too different than chopping, cutting things with scissors, paper with scissors. It's going to dull it really fast. So this is Sloan, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these things take a lot of different steps, but that's just the nature of the beast. Put them like that. All right, we'll let that dry for a little bit. And then what we'll end up doing before we go into the salt mines is we'll end up gooping that stand. So we're able to work on that later today and finish our 6th figure, which we've already started painting the 7th, but catching you on the morning coffee break. You still working from home? What are you doing drinking coffee in the UK? You got that tea out there. As I've said before, I don't really like the taste of coffee. I would rather drink tea. Like, tea just doesn't have the I'm going to storm the beaches all by myself type of feeling to it, you know? Oh, these queer ass instructions. And yes, I did properly use that term. Glue this part. All right, let's pull the thing out and see if we can make heads or tails out of these Sovietsky thing. Sovietsky instructions. Man, the glare is strong with this one. So we got lots of interesting things happening in the next 3 days. 3 or 4 days, the rest of the week, through the weekend. All Western Desert stuff. So if you don't want to see Western Desert, well, it was nice knowing you. There aren't too many people that dislike the Western Desert, though. Just like there aren't too many people that dislike the Spitfire. Okay, it's telling me to remove what? I'll remove this little tab here. Okay, well, why do they want me to do that? This is why you don't build both of them at once. Okay, with this closed, this is the ammo supply thing. With it's closed, it's like this. So when it's open, it's like this. Yeah, that's not glued on. Which means it needs to be why does it want me to remove that? Maybe it's a brace for when it's closed, which is really unnecessary. All right, well, let's do what we did yesterday, because this seemed to actually work, is to put this on the stickum, and that way we have a better purchase on this thing, so we don't spend all the time chasing down the pieces. Almost like if I was trying to play tennis, or even racquetball. All right. So this is going to be open, and it's going to be kind of at a cockeyed angle. Yeah, we'll lay it up on. We'll rest it on this. That way it can attach to that too. Coffee break. My coffee breaks when I wake up. Not that, I don't mind having coffee throughout the day, but I went to the hobby meeting last night. I wasn't really excited about going. And I ended up for the first time winning the entry thing. Not that you win anything, but okay, you know. But that's not why I actually enjoyed it. I'm like, man, this time change is really killing me. So I'm going to go by Starbucks and get me one of them liquid cocaines. 30 ounces of motivation, and I think that's what I'm gonna have to start doing. Is I'm gonna have to go and I don't want to go to the model meeting. I'll say, well, let me go get a really overpowered coffee, and then I'll be okay. And that's what I did, and I was even able to do some of this build last night because this came in the mail yesterday. Way too expensive for what this was. I have two of them, so. Way too expensive because of the shipping. It's still a $10 little model. I mean, it's freaking tiny. It's going to be another one of those things. Don't you dare touch this. I'll move it for you. this is, you may not have to use glue on a lot of these things, but you got to put a lot of pressure on it that I'm not willing to put on these little guys. So let's hold this. I think that's relatively secure. Yeah, I don't feel really comfortable with that. Let's enlarge this a little bit. Ben, you got kind of a normal schedule? Or you got kind of weird hours because you're working from home or something? Do you have a Tony schedule or a Mitch schedule? Mitch swears he likes his schedule because his wife's on a fucked up schedule too. In other words, works weekends kind of thing. 8:45 to 5:15. Okay, but you work Monday through Friday? That's what I was getting at. Sorry about that. And the gun shield. My wife doesn't have a fucked up schedule, so if I wanted to have a fucked up schedule, that's great. If I didn't want to see her, Monday through Friday. All right, good. So you're kind of working 9 to 5, so to speak. There's somebody that came up with a post the other day and said something about, like, complaining about working 9 to 5. And I said, what kind of a slacker goes into work at 9 o'clock in the morning? No comment. And this actually needs to be fixed a little bit because this chair is a bit, well, now it comes off. Well, it was just hanging on by a thread anyways. I mean, if I had my own business, I'd probably be closed Monday, Tuesday. Things are better now, but it's really annoying to have Sunday off and, like, everything you want to do is closed. Dreadful commute into the other room, though. Wow. You guys can afford 2-room places in Britain? Walking past models and resisting the urge to paint. Anyway, I'll get back to the grind. Take care. Okay, man. Well, we'll see you this evening. I'm gonna set this right here because I'm going to. It's actually the perfect height. I can keep that seat level. So we're not going to attach it. We're going to leave that little guy over there. And that is really delicate. Now we're going to end up painting this base before we go and put that little guy on there. And we're going to have to fill these holes in because I'm not going to have my little dude kneeling down. But I'm going to put the little crew. I'm not going to save this sprue. We're never going to use we're never going to use a mounted version of the 2-pounder. Now, if it came with separate wheels where I could leave these attached and just pop this on and off, I probably would do it, but let's be realistic. I'm never going to use that. All right, what do we got here? We've got 2 lads. And if they're anything like the other Zvezda figures I have, they're excellent. They are. Actually, the Zvezda Russian guys I have are not very good. But the Zvezda German crew and the Zvezda and these guys are good. So we have a loader and a gunner. All right, so let's flip over to where Gunman's at, which is this lad right here. Well, the wife is going to be out of town. Oh, shit. Okay, there's the other arm. I was like, I have 2 arms. An extra arm. Okay. And this guy actually has a prong. Nope, he does not. Okay. So this comes with like a little peg for him to sit in here and squeeze together. But what I've experienced is sometimes when you do that, it doesn't allow the 2 leg pieces to get close enough and you have a little bit of a gap. So I'm actually going to take that little peg off and we're going to weld these 2 pieces together. But anyways, what I was getting at, the wife is out of town, so you guys are probably going to see more of me the next couple days than less. The only catch to that is the rest of this week is going to suck work-wise. So, especially today, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get home. And we're working on Saturday too. So, I'm going to say there's not going to be a Saturday morning show, but that might be inaccurate because hell, we're doing one on a work night, on a work day. So, even if it's a short one, we just won't be able to do one until like, 9 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. It'll have to shut down early. And then I expect to be gone all day, unfortunately. So you'll see a lot of me, but you're not going to see me, really long sessions unless, the Sunday one's really long. Oh, no, you don't. Yeah, so if you leave this little peg on here, sometimes it's difficult to push them far enough in. So you can do a couple things. Either cut the peg down a little bit, like half of it, because I don't mind having it there for security purposes, but that's what we're going to do. He should fit on that seat pretty well. We're not going to leave. We're not going to attach him. Well, I did say should. Boy, he's a pain in the ass. Okay, so I might actually. Now I'm going to paint him separately. And I may end up putting him in there and just leaving him in there. I don't think there's really a need to glue him because he's pretty secure in there. Tell me, but what that may be what it is. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to leave that prong, but I'm going to cut it down just to a really minimal size. So we don't have an issue of it being too long, the hole's not deep enough, and when I go to push it together, it doesn't fit all the way into the back. They want you to put his hand on that wheel. Well, that's going to be a hard sell. I actually do like it better with leaving part of the peg in there because I can adjust it. Good morning, Marcus. No, this is still the first one, but it's just the gun crew. We'll start on the first one's done. Man, it is extremely delicate. It's a cute little thing. And it'll go on this base. We'll have to paint the base before we attach it. I'm going to permanently attach it there because the little wheels are there. I might put some goop in there to get it to tie in with everything else. But we're going to fill in these. We're going to fill in this hole for the flagpole, and fill in these holes for the guy that's on his knees. If we're gonna put him on I think we're gonna put him on a penny. The penny will just have to go like, this or behind it or whatever, This guy will have to be in the position. Assume the position. Maybe I will put him in those little peg holes. Yeah, it's really, really small. And it's pretty, I was trying to figure out what age this is recommended for. Not that that means anything, but I think I think was like a patience. What did I say yesterday? The patience of a saint and the touch of an angel. It's like, really, really, like, you got to be careful with this thing, big time. And I think after I paint this dude, I'm going to leave him in there. Okay, I like where those things are. So let's grab him by the legs, somewhere that's away from me leaving fingerprints on him. And I'm going to use the tiniest of cement and get it to percolate in there where it needs to go. Then, grabbing his legs tight. Okay. Then he's going to sit over there. This guy's going to sit here. And we're going to paint it in parts like that. That way, because I mean, if I attach this to here, it would take way too much time to paint the base when I could just attach it afterwards. I'm saving myself a lot of trouble by doing it that way. Oh, well, I'm not done yet. I got to do the other clown. Okay. And let me not remove his pegs. Since we're going to use him on a base, I'm not thrilled about putting a penny on top of another base. Then you start getting all this like things that are teetering on top of something else. For some reason, they gave me his entrenching tools separate. And we don't care about this flag. All right. So yeah, the wife goes out of town today. She's actually going on a trip that I would have gone on. I would have gone with her over the weekend had I not had to work on Saturday. It's a fluke accident. I've never seen it in 30 years. What we're gonna do? We got somebody that wants delivery on a Sunday. Unfucking heard of. But whatever. It's not like it got pulled on me at the last minute. I knew it was coming. So, other than the fact that I don't know when I'm going to be on here on Saturday. We can do Saturday morning because we're doing Wednesday morning, right? So it's just going to be a shorter session. We're not going to be able to. I'll be able to go to just shy of 7 a.m. instead of 9 or 10 or whatever absurdities we've done in the past. We just won't be able to do that on Saturday. But there should be plenty of hobby time. It's just not going to be really long sessions because I got to work basically every day. And tonight is my late night, so I don't know what time I'll be able to leave. Normally I try to leave before 5, beat the traffic. And today is going to be I may leave at 6:30, maybe even later than I've stayed as late as 8:30 before. Let's hope that's not the case. I get awfully hungry. Well, I like doing this because for one thing, it keeps me from eating the house. This keeps me busy. I end up drinking the house, but and I got to do this anyways. And this is wonderful. Might do a foxhole alongside of you. Okay. Well, I'm going to put some thought into it. Well, you know what I like to do? Not put thought into it. You just figure stuff out as I do think about stuff, but I don't like to pre-plan anything. So I think I have some enough MDF. Should be able to do MDF scraps. It's definitely going to be so that you can put guys next to each other. At least 2 pennies. And they need to be hollow. And what I mean by hollow is that they won't have a base on it. Because if you put a base on it, then it moves these guys up a little higher. And the lower you keep them, the less of a berm you need to put on this for it to look correctly. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm probably going to build them in sets of... they can put 3 guys in there. Because the other ones you can only fit 2 guys in there. So I think I'm going to build them for 3. And we'll just see how it goes. I'm sure they will turn out fine. I'm sure I'll be happy with them. When I make the next set of them, I'll just probably be more efficient at it. I'm sure there's something I'll be able to improve on as far as, method. So same thing, we're going to go ahead and cut part of this peg off. Oh, he's got 2 pegs. No, he doesn't. He's only got 1. Oh, I wonder it must be for the entrenching tool. Well, that gets put together afterwards. Okay, does he fit completely together? No, he doesn't. See, there's a tiny little bit of a gap there. So we're going to go ahead and remove this completely. And that way we can put the 2 halves really close together. Okay. Now this is the 40 millimeter. So I was at a little bit of a dilemma. I talked about it a little bit earlier this week. I don't remember what day I was talking about it, but the British armored divisions are broken down into brigades, and particularly the 7th Armored is broken down into brigades. And each brigade has a symbol. So I was thinking, okay, well, and they're cool. Like for instance, at Operation Crusader, the 7th Armored had the 7th, had the 4th Armored Brigade, the 7th Armored Brigade, and the 22nd Armored Brigade. So the 4th Armored Brigade had a desert rat on a white background facing towards the right. The 7th Armored Brigade had a desert rat facing to the left, which is the same way as the unit symbol is of the 7th, but it was normally like green, I believe. And then, of course, the main one is a red rat. And the 22nd that was attached from the 1st Armored Division, I did not know this, has like a deer with antlers on it. So my question is are the units that are, and inside one of the brigades, you've got like, 3rd RTR, 5th RTR, usually like 3 tank regiments, which are really like battalions. Okay. So those units would have the unit service placard on the fender, which is either, usually either in red and green, depending if it's a senior regiment or if it's out of the senior brigade or the junior brigade that's in the division. So we got the numbers, and we can figure that out by doing that. But do the 7th Armored Brigade units have the brigade symbol on them, or the division? And what I was thinking is, I'm probably going to put the one on the division on the ones that are not specifically part of one of the brigades. So if it's a unit that's part of one of the brigades, we'll put the brigade marking on it. And if it's one of the divisional assets, like the 7th Support Group, etc., we'll put the 7th Armored Division symbol on it. And obviously the HQ units of the 7th Armored will have the 7th Armored Division. And that way you get to use a little bit of everything. But I'm not so sure. Looking at stuff from Operation Crusader, it seemed that all the pictures I can find have 7th Armored Division on it. So maybe that's just a blessing. And maybe I should probably just take that as a blessing, because that's the easiest markings to find are 7th Armored Division markings, for decals. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to do a little bit more research. First of all, because I like doing that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I like. And if the divisions look stupid or something, then I wouldn't care. But they're all cool. Every one of them is really interesting. Not so much about the Army tank brigades that have the infantry tanks, but so I think that's what I'm going to do. I've been painting decal and the divisional symbol. Yeah, well, they have the ones for brigade. So if you're not going to use those on the brigade tanks, what are you going to use them on, right? I'm just using logic. Like if you got armor division markings and you put all the armor division markings on every single tank that's in one of the two brigades, and like I said, the 22nd was on loan, and they make decals for the 22nd with the antler marking on it. And if you're not going to use those for the brigades, what are you going to use them on, right? Where you can say, okay, well, the 7th, we can use it for the 7th Support Group, which is the basically the motorized infantry that's in the brigade. Because the German Panzer Division is almost like a 50-50 breakdown of armor versus infantry. And the British one obviously varies, but as a general rule, it's 2-to-1. It's twice as much armor as it has infantry. So the German one's technically more balanced, but it depends what you're needing to do. In the desert, maybe it's not as good because what are you going to hold ground with? But yeah, if you're not going to use the armored brigade symbols on the armored brigade, what are you going to use it on? Now, there is another catch. And the other catch is because the German stuff is really complicated. Okay, German stuff is really complicated, but British stuff is really complicated too. Kind of in the same way. Like, this is here, but, sometimes it's not, and there's exceptions to the rule, and the British have them as well, but the British stuff isn't as well documented. I don't know whether they just didn't keep track of that stuff as well, or there aren't so many people with a British tank fetish as opposed to a Panzer fetish. Might be a combination of both, which is what I suspect. But these units that were part of the 7th Armored Divisions came and went. There was a time during Normandy, and I don't remember what it was replaced by, but the armored brigades that were in the 7th Armored changed in Normandy. So, for instance, the one that has the green Jeroboa, which is the 7th Armored Brigade that was part of the 7th Armored Division during Operation Crusader, ended up going to Burma. So there's decals that show them going to Burma. Now, they're independent at that point. They're not part of an armored division in Burma. They're just a brigade. So maybe that's when they got that brigade symbol. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to do enough of a dive that I'm going to be comfortable with the decisions that I make. And And if I see enough different decals, what I've noticed so far is there's enough different decals of different models of vehicles that are represented at Operation Crusader that seem to all have the divisional marking, then I'm probably just going to put the divisional marking on all of them, and just go from there. Now, I also read that during Operation Crusader, a lot of the tanks did not have the armor division marking at all. In other words, all they would have would be like the Crusader stripes. And I'm like, I'm going to put the armor division marking on it because, first of all, it's cool. Second of all, it's just another little, another level of that, that's interesting. Who is it that says it's another level of cool? Somebody says that. Some guy I listen to says, I forget who that is. It's not Tick. And they say it all the time. But anyhow. But that's the kind of stuff I like looking up. Because in the process of looking that stuff up, you end up finding out about things about the battles and stuff that they were in for scenario ideas. Now, these guys are just wearing regular battle dress for like the BEF, but we're going to paint these in desert garb and desert colors. But the divisional markings is kind of my equivalent of heraldry in the Second World War. I love heraldry stuff, and I don't just, when I was doing medievals, I did a fair amount of research into it so that I'd have every army would have the right feel for it. You can't represent everybody in the heraldry, but you can at least, get a good feel of what maybe some of the army would look like. And that's kind of the same thing with the divisional markings. And some people don't care. Some people are like, I'll just paint them however, and I can use them for every armor division. And that's what I have done with the Germans so far. I don't know if I'm going to continue that trend, but we will see. I need to get better at being able to broadcast, getting better at it. How about learn how to freaking do it? Broadcast the screen on this video, because there's a lot of stuff for me to look up. And I love learning about shit. Oh, well, I love learning about the stuff that I want to learn about. Okay, I don't want to learn about everything. My wife was telling me the other day she had, there's something that she did a couple of years ago that she had to buy Bitcoin. So we're having this conversation at the dinner table, and I'm like, well, what? She has like a balance of a Bitcoin. She said, I had like $20 left, and now it's worth 70. What can I do with it? So I'm like looking up, what can you buy with Bitcoin? And after spending about 10 to 15 minutes on trying to figure out what you could actually do with it, and coming up completely empty-handed and not being able to figure it out, because I consider myself, whether I'm incorrect or not, an above average intelligence person. I know that's not saying a whole lot, because there's some dumbasses out there, but I don't go around thinking like I'm stupid, okay? I actually go and I think, if that dumbass can figure it out, I can figure it out. But some things just, you become apathetic, where it's like, man, I can't do this. So I'm just gonna. This is not worth my time. And there's this background amount of, this idea of like, okay, this task should take about this long. And when it's taken 4 times longer, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to not worry about it. I'll be learning through you. Need to come up with something for your Grant tank. Ooh. Okay. Well, do you want it to be generic, or do you want to do like Gazala? Or do you want to do Alamein, or do you want to not put markings on it? Yeah, I don't know everything, but I'm inquisitive, you know, and the information's out there. You may not get the right answer, but you can make an informed decision where you can feel good about the decisions that you made based on the amount of information that was out there. Man, you got to keep your brain working, or you end up like, um, being weird and stuff. Okay, they were in one unit in Gazala. Well, what's his face has got a Gazala episode, which I never finished watching. His videos are really intense. Like, I feel like if I'm listening to him, I need to be taking notes, or I'm wasting the knowledge that he's spitting out. There's the entrenching tool. Yeah, that can fit in there without. Wow, that goes right by his shoe. All right, now we'll dribble a little bit of this stuff right there, and then we're going to leave his happy ass alone. Okay. Now we'll work on the other 2-pounder. I'm going to use the same instructions. Gazala. Okay, I'm going to look up some Gazala info. I'm pretty sure they were in one unit. God, why do I feel like they're in the 22nd Armored Brigade? Okay, bye-bye. Oh, look, playing cards. You want a hind? Yeah, I don't want to play this game. It's probably got all kinds of things I disagree with. Their take on things. Gazala. Not a lot of long-barreled Panzer threes and fours at Gazala. I think there was single digits of fours, and they may have missed them, may have missed the battle. I don't think there was more than 20 Panzer threes with a long 50 at Gazala. I came across that, but that's the Germans. We're not talking about those crop bastards. Yeah, one thing I was reading about that 75, and the 75 millimeters on the Grant is not the same 75 millimeters on the Sherman. It's a shorter caliber weapon. I don't know that it was really accurate, but it did have a lot of HE punch for the British forces, which at that point they didn't have that in any of the tanks. Because all the tanks are armed with 2-pounders, or the howitzers and the close support versions. But a lot of those howitzers only had smoke rounds. So you got every tank that has the 37, which isn't a great weapon, but it's not terrible. And I was reading where they basically like some ridiculous range. I want to say 1,500 meters. I want to say it's certainly over 1,000. It could knock out the German tanks. And I'm like, really? That's kind of a stubby little gun. I mean, it's not. The Sherman is a 40 caliber, and I bet the one on the Grant is probably something around a 35 or something like that. It's not a terribly low velocity gun, but it is still. But the 6-pounder is a lot better. But the 6-pounder doesn't have HE. The 6-pounder is 57 millimeter, and it's as good as it's better than the German guns out there. But again, those were in limited supply also at Gazala. You got plenty of time. I think I'm going to paint the Firefly first. I don't think they had the ammo for the 4s, at least according to Tick. Oh, you don't have the ammo for the Panzer 4s? Okay. Well, he would be I'm sure he's gotten stuff wrong, but he seems to be inquisitive in the same way. It's like, but is that really the case? And then looks at it from the other angle. So I'm not saying that he can't get stuff wrong, but it seems to me that he has his heart's in the right place. Let's put it that way. He wants to get shit right. And that helps. Because, we're all human, we're all going to make mistakes. But then there's people that have friggin' agendas. And I don't think he's got an agenda, but I could be wrong. Anyways, I like his material. So. But I actually do have a Rommel figure. Doesn't really look like him. Some of the other generals look more like the general more than Rommel, but I do have a Rommel figure. So we could do an assassination on Rommel. You're reading about the Canon 4732 last night, okay? Which was inspired by your 2-pounder work. I've had my eye on Waterloo 1815 with those. There was a thread that was happening on one of the sites that I subscribe to, Facebook pages, whatever, where somebody has the Elefantino, I believe is what they called that. No gun shield, right? And there was a discussion on what vehicle the Italians used to pull that. And there was different. It was interesting, like that. There was that much, I don't know, controversy, but I watched that discussion for a while, and it seemed like nobody could decide what they were going to do. My first inclination would be one of those light trucks that has the super big wheels, whatever those things are called. I'm not familiar with the Italian vehicles yet, so. It wasn't a terrible gun. But it penetrated, I'm pretty sure it penetrated less than a 2-pounder, even if only a little bit. So, even though it's 47, it's only 32 caliber, and I think the 2-pounder is like a 55 or something like that. It's a pretty long gun for what it is. Yeah, no gun shield and not easily truckable. Yeah, there was something with the way the base was made that it was difficult to move. Elefantino, little elephant. I think that's what they called it. Really, Elefantino should be like the name for the L6 tank cat, because I don't know. L6 is not a tank cat. It's a light tank, and it's really cute. Sorry, L6 fan here. It's an Italian Hago. It's a lot better than a Hago. That's not saying anything. Now, hopefully if I had a brain, kept this nearby. So what I do is I put this up against a straight edge and I brace it all the way to the end. So there's no way this can bend at all. So I've got this pushed up against the edge of the table like this. Hopefully to prevent any human error. I'm going to attach this on here. I actually like that this is no glue required because that allows me to assemble it. And then once I get it into position, trickle the glue in. Trickle down glueonomics. Okay, there's the business end of the 2-pounder. The 2-libber, as we used to call it. Okay, now we're going to do a little carriage part here. Let's move this out of the way. You're in a high occupancy zone. Yeah, I remember stuff from playing, desert combat. I'm gonna say it again. Well, I don't have to. I don't know if I gotta convince anybody anymore. I'm a World War II guy. I'm not an ancients and medieval person. The fact that I learned that ancients and medieval stuff is just, a miracle. But I should say I'm not an ancients and medieval warfare person. I should say that because in college, I did all the Western Civ, and I'm sure it's called something else now. It's probably offensive to call it Western Civ. Like, what's wrong with the East? What's wrong with the East word? But I'd never played a war game with, ancients and medievals before, so that part was to be learned. Okay, A17 and A13 are next. There's A17 and A13's over here. And what's nice is because this is a snap kit, supposedly, I'm not really convinced, but let's just say there's a lot of the pieces have a really nice tight fit. I'm not going to glue, I don't have to glue the top to the bottom and feel like it can't rotate properly. Like, it's got pretty good fit on it. You just got to be delicate when you rotate things. I always like when people call the German the gun that was in the Panzer III, the 50 L42, a short 50. It's not a short 50. It's longer than the Sherman's gun. Nobody calls the Sherman it's longer by caliber. Nobody calls a Sherman gun a short 75. So I hope I didn't just cut something off. Nope, I didn't. Whew. Let's pay attention. Actually, it's my model. I can fuck it up if I want to. I'm the asshole that's got to fix it. That is flash, isn't it? It is not. This one is. And this one is. You know, the gold standard in models, in my opinion, is Tamiya. Nobody comes close to Tamiya. Things are well built. They go together well. The instructions are a blessing to build things with. And some people, some people just argue about anything. And these people argue with you that Tamiya is not good for you to modeling because it's too easy. I'm like, I'm sorry. I have a job that's plenty fucking challenging. Okay? I like being creative. I don't want to be tortured. If I want to do something difficult, I'll kit bash something. But that's like saying you shouldn't buy a high quality vehicle. You should buy one that breaks down all the time. That way you become a better mechanic. I'm not buying it. Okay, this guy is A17. Even though it looked like I was going on the inside, now I understand why they did it the way that they did. This goes in here. Like this. And we didn't glue this on the other one, so we're not going to glue it on this one. I mean, it's like you could feel like it's almost binding a little bit, like it's gripping well. And then this one, goes here and there. Now, I'm not going to glue it together, because I run the risk of these small parts, the cement being too strong for them and melting them, and then they don't have any mass. You never built a Tamiya model, but I've also never done a 1/35th scale kit. I could probably play face a battle at 1/35th scale, but then now my battlefield's only 70 meters across, kind of thing, Okay, so that part is done. That's sub-assembly. We need to do A16 and A10. Here's A16. You're not missing anything. I'd rather build a model that you can, technically play with. Like, even if it's, Hey, when you act like a big kid, it keeps you young. Okay. Those two. Alright, let's put these guys together. Now this is where we're going to use this. So this little bastard doesn't fly away. Add a little bit of grippage there. Yeah, the Tamiya instructions are awesome. They got like little humor and stuff in there, little cartoons. They look like those Panzer manuals. That's probably what they're inspired by. Okay, here's the little steery part. And this has only one peg on the bottom. Okay, let's not remove that one. That just creates issues for me. Not that I can't fix it, but this one should be easier to build, not more difficult. Okay. The peggy part. I built a model and I called her Peggy. Okay, and then this, of course, all gets built on Mr. A5, which is this strange contraption looking thing, which is has this one peg off to the side that I'm worried about it breaking. Well, the funny thing is I would say this build is pretty delicate, and the next two builds I've got are pretty delicate, whatever that means. Okay. And on here, we're going to have this little cradle. Goes like this. And attaches. Boom, boom, boom on this side. Oh. No, it isn't glued. And there's really no need for it to be glued. This thing's actually been pretty helpful. You have the 25 PSC coming, yes. Yeah, it's probably not going to get here until Monday, unfortunately. But there's something coming before that. Should be here before that. And I don't like that it's coming Monday because it's, it's a work day, so there's no guarantee that I can get it done in one day, but that's actually, PSC stuff's pretty durable. It's definitely built for ham-fisted folks. You know. Now we'll glue that together now that we got it in position. At the other end is the gun barrel, is the gun like so. And then this little guy gets attached on this peg. This is where I said I was going to attach those other pieces first. I don't think I will. Let's put this in a little bit first. Actually, I'm going to enlarge this. Okay, now that fits in there good. Well, this here. There's only one thing I hate about this hobby. When you're doing it, time goes by way too fast. We put it in the wrong hole. Okay. No harm, no foul. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the gun movable only because when I go to paint it, I can move it out of the way and paint things and then move it back. Not because I need to have it shown at different degrees of that. Okay. All right, we need to do the A9, A12, A8. Oh, you don't have the 25 pounder PSC. Well, I filmed the unboxing of this 2-pounder, and what I'm going to do is, the video's not out yet. I'm going to build these, and then I'll finish the video, and then I'll publish the video. I like that better, because if I just do it beforehand, I won't be able to show the, if I do the unboxing video before you guys actually get to see me working on it, then I've got to put off building it, and I also have to, I'll publish it, and then I'm immediately going to want to work on it. So I'm like putting a new live video basically on top of one I just published. So it affects people being able to see it. I'm like in my own way kind of thing. So, all right, so we've got A9, A12, and A8. A9, okay, here's a little ammo thing, cute little ammo thing. A8. A9 is over here. And A12. Yeah, well, I'm putting off painting the 88 for now. It'll be grand when it's time to do it. It's not time to do it yet. It's not time to do it yet. I mean, we're going to roll into painting these guys pretty soon. But I'm not going to start splitting my attention into African core and stuff. If these guys look this good, the African core, the Italians will look this good too. So it's really the basing is what I'm really excited about. It's something different. It's just something different. Let's wait till I do that British officer running with a pistol. He's going to be grand. Okay. Now, let's clean these little bastards up. Yeah, let me do this all weekend so I don't eat the house. Everybody has their addictions. Mine happens to be food, unfortunately. Not necessarily eating things that are unhealthy, but eating more than I should be eating. Hey, it's better than being an alcoholic or doing drugs. I mean, I like having a drink, but I don't need one doing this. This is a lot more calming than having a drink. Okay. Right. This ammo thing is here. This little guy goes in like so. Does thou fit in there? We're putting a lot of pressure on you. Let's cut you in half. Let's cut you down. I tell you what, though, I love the Plastic Soldier Company plastic. It's like it's so pleasing to trim the stuff in that. And same thing with Armor Fast. Armor Fast was really nice too. We're gonna have to revisit that Panzer IV from Armor Fast, and give it some black lining. I started doing that. Just doesn't want to fit in there. Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut you off. Now you'll fit in there. That's right, you will. Okay, and we will. Where's the stickum? Because that allows me not to have my fingers that close to it and accidentally get some of this dribble on them and then put a bunch of fingerprints everywhere. Actually, worse than putting fingerprints on there is just literally like putting this glue where two pieces aren't going to weld together, and then you got a spot that's really, really weak and thin. And I've only thought that was an issue. I've only encountered that being an issue because it's been one in the past. Okay, and then this guy. Goes this way down. Okay, now that guy fits in there just fine. Okay, and now we will put a little bit of dribble here. This one airbrush group that I'm a member of, it's like called Airbrush for Beginners and stuff. And there's some interesting stuff in there, but there's some people that are like really like on their high horse. Like they think they're God's gift to airbrushing, and you may be really experienced, but people have to experiment on their freaking own. Like I'm now to the point where I feel like now I can read stuff to get better because I've got enough basic stuff going on. I mean, I've got more than basic, but like every time I use the airbrush, it doesn't jam anymore. I clean it every time, But I was watching something the other day about the spray pattern, and now I can kind of process that, A19 and A18. But you can't expect people to be able to process all of this advanced information when they're starting off. You got to let people make mistakes. All right, got to begin the breakfast routine. Catch you later. All right, man, we'll see you tonight. Have a good day, man. Look out for the crazies in the city. Building models together, I didn't even go by the whole, measure twice, cut once kind of thing until you realize, man, if I make a mistake, that creates a lot of extra work for myself. So let's try to not do things that create extra work for myself. Like I just did. Oh man, I wasn't supposed to cut that little tab off. Well, that's why you guys are on here, because you see me make mistakes. Then I got to figure out how to do them. Or did I make a mistake thinking I made a mistake? Let's see. Nope, I made a mistake this time. I wasn't supposed to cut that one. Okay, well, no big deal. I'm not going to glue it back together. It just goes up against the other piece anyways. So let's take this, and this should be able to fit on. Goes in this way. I was at Marcus was my lucky charm. He laughed. Ah, I'm not going to apologize for being human. Shit happens. It's not fitting completely flush. Let me wiggle it back out. If I can. Okay, let's enlarge this a little bit. And it's going to come in from this side, so shouldn't take very much. Yep, that was enough. Alright, now, the part that I cut off is this little tab. That little tab attaches here. So let's pretend it still had it. It would attach like this, and it fits up flush against it. And here I thought I could talk and build things at the same time. Joke's on me, I can't. Okay, A15. A15 is this little prongy thing. And A7 is the seat, which does not look like the seat in the drawing. Maybe that's why some people watch this channel, to see me make mistakes. I don't know, it's too much effort to try to edit all this stuff and then make myself seem like some kind of a demigod. Shit happens. And it happens to you guys too, and it's alright to admit it, you know? Put this off. All this stuff I've done, I've only cut myself one time. That's right, I'm running my mouth about not cutting myself more than once when I'm using the X-Acto knife. Well, it's not even going to slice your damn finger off. It's just end up poking myself. I don't know if I don't even know if I drew blood. Yeah, I must have drawn blood, or it wouldn't have been memorable. Okay. This little prong, which is the one that we accidentally enlarged, which actually is probably a good thing at this point, because this is a tight fit. Because you have to get it underneath here, and then you have to somehow push down on it when there's no leverage there. The other one was a pain in the butt, and this one is so much less so. So this one we're going to secure by some weld cement, just like that. Okay, and then the seat fits back here behind it. That one also probably needs to be enlarged. Enlarge your seat. And I believe this sits on there damn near flush. It's not more flush because these little pegs actually come in through the bottom. So we'll reduce those so that it fits on the base a little bit better. Okay, speaking of base, how are we doing time-wise? I think we're all right. Remember, if you enjoy this programming, don't forget to, people say like and subscribe. Like isn't as important as subscribe. That way you get notified when, don't forget to click that bell. Notified when I'm on. I try to be consistent when I come on, but, you know, real life gets in the way sometimes, and you can't do things when you want to do them sometimes. Never forget when that one guy says, I can't subscribe to you right now, I'm on a fixed budget. I'm like, I don't think that's what you I don't think that word means what you think it means. I'm not running a Patreon. Really have no interest at this time to do one of those things. Just like I had no interest when I was running tournaments to get money from people and then going to somebody else to purchase the gifts. I don't want to do that salesy stuff. You know, just come hang out and listen to my bullshit, or not. Give me little nudges from time to time. Hey, how about this? And then we can talk about that nudge. Okay, and these things just fit right, like that. All right. What's next after that? Oh, we basically have stopped this at the same point that we started the other one. In other words, we worked on it last night, and this is as far as we got. You know what? That's probably a good sign. We're going to stop where we're at. We'll pick this up this evening, and hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have both 2-pounders done. and then we can the following day we can prime them and then paint them. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Enjoy your